Hey, what is going on, guys? XpertFusion here, and welcome to my review for The Walking Dead Season 10, Episode 10, which was titled Stalker. So, I thoroughly enjoyed this episode, I have to say. I didn't love it, though. I had a couple problems with it here and there that I feel like I need to address, and we're going to go through the pros and the cons. So starting off with the non-spoilers section of this video, I like to do no spoilers first, and then we get into the spoilers a little bit later. Just as a sort of way to start it off, I'm going to give the episode a rating of 8.5 out of 10. I don't think it deserves a 9. It was great, but there's a couple flaws that really do drag it down just a little bit. I think it's a great episode, though. I do think last week's episode was great as well. After watching it a few more times, though, it did drop down a little bit. Like, I had it at an 8 out of 10. Now it's probably more like a 7.5 out of 10 to me after watching it a couple more times. But this episode, I think, is a solid 8.5 out of 10. So for the non-spoiler stuff, the episode does a really good job of building tension. Like, there was a lot of moments where I'm like on the edge of my seat, even though I know this character's probably not going to die. There's a lot of good horror aspects to the episode as well that I really appreciated. Some really great soundtracks, some great character stuff for a couple characters in particular. Gabriel was awesome in this episode. He's going up higher and higher on my list of favorite characters right now after this episode for sure. Rosita had some pretty awesome moments, even Judith. You had some stuff with Daryl, a lot of great stuff with the characters in this episode that I really appreciated. But that's all I really can say for the non-spoilers. I just want to get into spoilers now because there's a lot more to talk about when it comes to spoilers. Starting off with, let's talk about all the different portions of the episode. I do want to get into the cons, though. Let's talk about Daryl and Alpha first, their little fight. I liked how they handled that fight. Not completely. Now, what I loved about it was the scenes when they were in that warehouse was great. I loved how they both were injured, so it made the fight more like realistic. Like, if they weren't injured, you'd think, okay, how are they gonna get out of this fight alive, you know? I love the contrast between Daryl and Beta, because Daryl and Beta, they were going at it and they weren't really hurting each other that much because they were so evenly matched, even though I feel like Beta should have kicked his ass in that fight, but you know, whatever. You get the idea. I liked how they were kind of evenly matched, and it felt so different than this one because they're still evenly matched, but in a more brutal way. Like, they're both severely injured to the point where they could die from bleeding out. You know, fortunately they didn't. I was actually thinking Alpha was gonna die for a second. I really felt like this was gonna be the end of Alpha. I really did. And I was like really pissed about that. But thankfully they didn't kill her just yet. I'm sure it'll be within a couple episodes from now, but I'm glad they didn't do it there. But there's a couple moments where I thought she was gonna die, particularly when she was giving the knife to Lydia. I thought she wanted Lydia to kill her, and I thought Lydia was about to do it. Or then I thought Alpha was gonna kill herself. I thought all these weird things. I'm glad they didn't do it, but I thought it was some really, really entertaining stuff, especially when Alpha brought in those walkers to the warehouse, and Daryl was sitting there with a knife in his leg, and he had to fight the walkers off with the knife in his leg, and he was like struggling, and then he pulls the knife out of his leg, stabs it. That was one of the coolest scenes from Daryl that we've had in the entire franchise. I really, really thought it was awesome. But what I didn't like about that fight was when it first started. This scene was a little choppy to me in the way it was directed. I feel like the camera work was kind of all over the place. Like, I hate when they could do these really close-up shots during fights. They've done this a couple of times. Back up the camera a little bit. Let us see more of what's happening rather than going close up on what's happening so we can barely see exactly what's going on. Like, I was able to make it out pretty easily, but I want to see more. I think Daryl versus Beta was a very well-directed fight because they gave us some space and let them fight. But in this, there was too many close-ups on things, and it felt like it was all over the place. And then the stupidest thing is when they showed us the first-person view of Daryl with the blood over his eyes. The reason why they wanted to show that is because they wanted to let us know that Daryl's sight is a little bit blurry right now because he's got blood that's dripping over his eyes, which I'm okay with that, you know, show us that, but don't keep showing us that. You can show us it once, that's fine. But in a 1v1 fight, I don't want to see first-person views. I don't. I feel like that's really, it looks like it's low budget, you know what I mean? I'm okay with first-person views in certain aspects, like, for example, 701, when they were showing Rick's POV when, you know, Abraham was getting his head bashed in. That was a good time to show POV, and they didn't show it the whole time. They showed it for certain aspects. But this fight, they kept going back to Daryl's POV we did not need that. We saw in the beginning that he had blood over his eyes, so I was like, okay, his sight's a little blurry. That's fine. Then don't show us that again. Just show us the fight itself. Show us Daryl stabbing it instead of showing us like a first-person view, like we're playing Call of Duty or something. That's not what I want. That's not what I think we should have. So I wasn't too happy with that, but I was okay with it. I was like, you know, I was able to get over it. It was a small, minor flaw that didn't really bother me that much. The stuff with Daryl and Alpha later on, though, was great. I liked how Lydia came and brought Daryl out of there. It was a little confusing at first. I was like, wait, what happened in the whole situation? But they explained it, so it was whatever. It was fine, and I liked it. I think it went well, and it made sense that Lydia wouldn't kill her own mother. That completely makes sense to me, so I'm completely fine with it. I'm glad Lydia's back in the story. That makes me happy, so that was good stuff. But then we get to the other portion of the episode, which is, of course, the Alexandria stuff with the Gamma showing up and then Beta coming to kill some people and then take Gamma away or back to Alpha. And this stuff was good, but it was a little disappointing. And when I'm saying disappointing is because I was really expecting more with the horror. I was expecting more with like Michael Myers-esque killings, but they keep showing deaths off screen, and I hate that. Like, I was getting ready to see, I wanted to see, like, Beta show up to the house. I thought that was pretty cool how they showed that one scene with the one whisperer inside of the house, and you could see him in the background, but they didn't do anything with that, though. Like, there was a couple whispers in Alexandria other than just Beta. So why didn't we see more people getting killed by the whispers? We should have. How much cooler would that have been if we saw Judith like hiding in the house, she hears someone in the house, and she's going around with the revolver like, holy shit, she's scared out of her mind, then she gets attacked and maybe kills one. Just one scene like that. Maybe give us another scene with some red shirts who get slaughtered by a couple whispers as well, just like Beta slaughtered those guys in the house, which was a really cool scene. But I wish they showed us more. I mean, they show us like an outside view, and then we see people screaming and moving around, but we don't actually see Beta killing these people. I wanted to see that. Then you might be like, oh, what are you, crazy? You want to see people dying? Yeah, I want it. It's a TV show. Let me see it. I love horror. I love horror aspects in the show. So let us see it. I want to see him slicing people up, but instead we just see the aftermath of it, which was kind of disappointing, in my opinion. I think it would have been a lot cooler to actually see it happening. So I feel like they could have done a lot more with the horror. And then they show us like Beta's perspective when he's going through the house. Why not show us like the characters' perspectives, like Judith or Gamma or someone else? Because that makes it more scary. I just wish they gave us more of like the other characters' perspectives from Beta to make him seem more scary. And one thing that confused me was when Laura came at him, which that was pretty crazy how he like picked up Laura and smacked her head across the thing. Did she die though? They didn't show her for the rest of the episode, but that was a pretty fatal hit. Like, she smacked her head against that thing. She could have been dead. Now, I kind of wish we got some brutal kills from Beta towards like actual characters that are like well established, not just random red shirts. I feel like that would have been more scary. Like, that would have felt more like there's more tension behind it. So Laura, if she did die, cool, but like you could have given us some more brutal death than just that. But if she didn't die, then well, now you just lost the chance of Beta killing someone, which I think would have been interesting to see. Because has Beta really killed any massive characters yet? No, he really hasn't. He hasn't really killed much, you know? So I feel like this was the perfect opportunity to do that. If she actually did die, maybe they want to do more with her, I guess, but she's a side character. Who really cares? You could have just killed her off, and I think it would have been cool. So I was a little disappointed in that. There's a lot of off-screen deaths and stuff like that happened that I feel like would have been nicer to get the full picture. But we did see some pretty cool stuff, like Beta versus Rosita was awesome. I'm glad Rosita got her ass kicked, because that's how it should be. I mean, you got a big-ass dude versus Rosita. I mean, come on, obviously. But she did put up a good fight, and I liked how Gamma showed her loyalty to them by saying she would kill herself. If you know, he did anything, if he didn't drop the knife and continue going on with her, which made sense. Gabriel in this episode, like I said in the beginning, awesome stuff, man. I absolutely loved Gabriel when he was like he was done with this shit. He was done. I mean, I felt like he did have a connection to Tara a little bit, and of course he had that connection to she has a connection to Rosita. Rosita has a connection to Siddiq. So of course he's pissed about these people, and he's just done with it. And the fact that he was saying, you hear a priest saying stuff like, get them, rip their teeth out, rip fingers off. That was a cool line. I was like, damn. And then he was like, Gamma said something about like, ask God, like what you should do or whatever. And then he was like, I did ask God. He said I should hang you. That was hilarious. Just some really good stuff with Gabriel in this episode that I really appreciated and thought was great. We had Judith making that little relationship with Gamma. You know, she loves making relationships with people who are outcasts, which is something that I like about her character a lot. She likes to make those who don't really get enough love feel like they're cared about in some way, shape, or form, which I appreciate. One more negative that I want to go over, which is less negative, it's a pretty minor one, but it's the whole tunnel system. They didn't really explain that well. We know there's a tunnel that goes under Alexandria, it's coming from that RV, but like how? Can you explain how the hell that's even possible? That would take years to do. Like, you're telling me these Whisperers, without any real tools, with shovels, are going underground, digging, to get under Alexandria, and no one noticed, and they were able to make it so it goes into the hole that Dante made. I know Dante was involved, but how did no one see Dante? I don't know, man. It just sounds like too much to me. I can't really comprehend how it makes any sense. But yeah, sure, like I'll accept it, I guess. It's a TV show. I'm not gonna care that much, but it just doesn't really make sense to me. But like I said, not a big deal. I think it does add a scare factor to the episode or to the series because it's like, bro, they're under us. Like, they've been under us. Like, that's pretty scary, and I do like that a lot. So at the end of the day, I'm okay with it. I'm able to accept the fact that it felt off because of that. You know what I mean? The episode itself, like I said, 8.5, it was a great episode, and I'm really excited to see what happens next. I'm assuming we're going to get to some nitty-gritty stuff within episode 11 and 12. Of course, I'll have a prediction video up once we get to the actual promo itself. I'll probably have it up Monday, so of course, check that out as well. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you thought about 1010 in the comments section below. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Were you indifferent about it? I'm assuming most people are going to like this episode because it has a lot of action. People love action. Of course, they're going to be, thrilled about this episode. And it was a very good episode, I got to say. Is it top 25 worthy? I don't think so. But it's definitely like top 50 worthy out of the 130 something episodes we've had in the entire franchise. So I loved it. Hopefully you guys did too. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.